When you're a big TV personality, you gotta know how to party. So instead of the usual boring soft drinks, I serve my Hollywood friends rich, creamy A&W root beer. There's nothing like a hot tub, a cold frosty one, and some properly prepared crustaceans.
We beat it.
We can beat it.
Yeah, we'll beat it.
Take it to Midas.
We can beat it.
Take it to someone you trust.
Midas will meet or beat anyone else's prices. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Going someplace else could cost you.
Take it to Midas.
Beat it.
Take it to someone you trust.
Hello.
Hi, Dad.
Oh, hi, honey. Hang on, I'll get your mother.
What?
You don't want to talk to me?
Well, usually you and your mom.
Well,
This time, I need my pop.
Yeah?
I'm thinking of quitting
It's so
my job.
easy to make someone's day, especially when you can dial direct and save with Michigan Bell long-distance discounts.
I love you, Dad.
Call today.
What was that?
Our daughter.
Didn't she want to talk to me?
Nope.
Michigan seatbelt law, more than just a safety issue. 6:30 Sunday.
Eyewitness News with Bruce Kirk, Kathy Adams, Chuck Gaedica, Fred McLeod, Joe Weaver's Perspective, and the Eyewitness News team.
Topping Eyewitness News tonight, a 16-year-old boy lies in critical condition at this hour, the victim of a gunshot wound to the eye, the victim of another teen. The family of the shooting victim is at its wit's end, while a suspect has been taken into custody.
And for up-to-the-minute details right now, Kathy, Mike Redford standing by at Mount Carmel Hospital. Mike, tell us what you know.
Well, Bruce, the victim is 16-year-old Thurston Price. He's a sophomore at Cody High School. He's currently in critical condition in the intensive care unit here at Mount Carmel Mercy Hospital on the city's northwest side. There are a few details behind this shooting, really. What we do know is that the shooting occurred on the service drive off the Southfield Freeway between Joy and Tyreman about 2 o'clock this afternoon. Apparently, Price had been walking home from school with some friends. They ran into another group of boys. There was an argument, and Price was shot in the left eye. There were no other injuries than that. Police do have a 19-year-old youth, unidentified 19-year-old youth, in custody in connection with the shooting. Police also tell us that the argument and the subsequent shooting likely happened after a long-standing dispute between two families. That's all they'll tell us. But once again, the victim is 16-year-old Thurston Price. He's a sophomore at Cody High School. He's currently in critical condition here at Mount Carmel Mercy Hospital. Bruce and Kathy?
Mike, what about the family? Are they at the hospital right now?
Yes, there are a few family members. All they've told us off camera is that Thurston Price was a good kid and that he just ran into the wrong group of guys at the wrong time. That's all they'll tell us.
And the kid apparently just carrying a gun, the group of kids he ran into.
That's right. And as we said, police tell us it stems from a long-standing dispute between two families. That's all they'll tell us. So apparently Mr. Price did know the 19-year-old youth, the suspect in the case.
Okay, thanks very much. Our Mike Redford reporting live on another Detroit teen using a gun to settle an argument. Bruce?
Well, finding a way to get some of these certain tough kids off the streets of Detroit is what this next story is all about. First, the number of beds available for youth offenders at the Wayne County Youth Home. It could increase drastically if the state comes up with some much-needed money and if that expansion plan indeed goes through. In the first part of our team report tonight, Woody Willis says the effort is to get these youthful thugs put away, since now the big rap is that many get probation if they get anything.
It'll just get worse and worse. The ACLU will protect a criminal before they'll protect somebody that's innocent.
It keeps going around. You know, they get arrested, and they come out, they get arrested, then they're back on the street, the next day,
That the 215 beds at the Wayne County Youth Home now have 190 kids in them. 30 belong to the state. When the state moves them, as promised, within 72 hours of sentencing, those beds can be filled as soon as the linen is changed. In addition to violent felonies and narcotics, kids facing burglary of an occupied dwelling and auto theft will be placed on hold. Now, like this 9th grader, they're on the street.
I stole the car. They just took me to jail and put me in jail, man, for about 30 days this summer. Put me on probation. And I got caught again for another B&E, but I didn't do it, see.
Experts back new state legislation that would place repeat juvenile offenders on trial as adults.
With these spaces, you can impose accountability on both juveniles and adults for misconduct that we haven't been able to do in the past.
Commissioner Arthur Carter says this isn't a case where an ounce of cure has become worth a pound of prevention, but there is no question enforcement is the bottom line. The official marriage of state, county, and city efforts also presumes that what the crackdown yokes together, no civil libertarian will put apart. In Detroit, Woody Willis, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
By the way, Woody says the county executive believes that construction at the youth home could start as early as this October.
Bruce, Detroit's cry for help with the juvenile crime problem is not falling on deaf ears. Some politicians in Lansing are scrambling to assure the public that something is being done about teen violence. As our Tim Skubik found out, not everyone is happy with some of the recommendations.
State officials want to build more camps for juvenile offenders like these. Mayor Young next week wants to round up more young hoodlums. But the man who directs Camp Highfields claims that both approaches are wrong.
It's wrong social policy, and it is cowardice on the part of politicians to pretend to the general public that they're going to solve the social problem that way. It's wrong.
Despite Latona's criticism, state officials held news conferences this day, issued no less than 3 reports, and basically raised expectations that something will be done. Recommendations include opening the juvenile system to the public, building a 200-bed detention center on land near the Wayne County Youth Home, and spending some $60 million on those new facilities. But spending tax dollars on Wayne County's juvenile problem will raise concern for outstate lawmakers, who are worried about the reaction back home.
Whenever you say something against Detroit, it's a rah, rah, rah for you.
This Detroit Democrat says Wayne County will have to repay some of the state dollars, and she argues all lawmakers have a duty to help.
Absolutely. They're state lawmakers, and I would hope they'd see their state responsibility in that job as a state problem and would help us solve our problem.
Some criticism of the system, quote, children's services are not a priority. The basic principles of treatment are unfocused, and coordination is non-existent. The report, not issued today, issued in 1977. Nonetheless, there is still optimism.
Yeah, I'm going to make it. I know I got the confidence to me to make it. I know I'm going to make it.
Near Jackson, Tim Skubik, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
Well, it's one thing to listen to a problem, but it's immediate action that Metro Detroit residents are demanding tonight. The trouble has been figuring out exactly what strategy to take. But there has been no shortage of reactions to the upsurge in juvenile crime, from anger and sheer frustration to fear and pity. In part 4 of our For Kids' Sake series, Good Kids Gone Bad, Stan Childress examines those reactions. He's here with us tonight. Stan?
Well, Kathy, not many people in the greater Detroit area have not been touched in some way by this alarming wave of juvenile crime. But these are not strangers pulling the triggers, hot wiring the cars, and knocking the old people to the ground. These are somebody's children. They're our children. Their problem, our problem, is now on everyone's mind. It is being debated at conferences in the high halls of academic institutions.
I lost a 16-year-old nephew on March the 6th, 1987, by a shooting.
Severe delinquent behavior has Wayne County commissioners clamoring for answers. A task force is calling for more places to put delinquents, more programs for treatment, and more money. The public is demanding answers.
I think there's some laws that we got to change. I'm glad that we have representatives here from Lansing. When it comes to the hardcore criminal and how that youth should be tried if he goes out and commit these hideous crimes.
Crime by children is prompting an outcry from their victims. This man just had his car smashed by 2 15-year-old girls, skipping school, riding around in a stolen car. The man feels hopeless about trying to prosecute them.
But it probably wouldn't do any good to prosecute because they can't get in touch with the parents, and she don't know where mother or father is at the time, so she don't have anything to pay for this here with, so don't see how it would help anything.
Don't break the law, because the courts are not going to tolerate permissiveness and kids who break the law.
Oakland County Juvenile Court Judge Barry Grant's attitude reflects a sentiment that is spreading in judicial circles.
It's terrible what's going on in our society today, and it's going to be up to the public to stimulate the authorities to appropriate the necessary resources to stop the crime.
Dr. Benny Stovall agrees more resources need to be expended, specifically on prevention programs, but she is on the opposite end of those who would say slap the bad kids away in a wilderness youth camp if they cut up in society.
It's kind of like pouring water into the ocean. You have to deal with why the children are behaving in a particular way.
But once they become that way, robbing, hurting, victimizing the public, the reality is there is not much hope for rehabilitation. At least that is the view of Wayne County Youth Home Director Peter Wilson.
For the older offenders that have committed very serious crimes, I'm afraid there's not a whole lot we can do.
Two Detroit area parents, both of whose sons were waived to adult status, tried and convicted of murder, would disagree there is little that can be done. Naomi Davis and Helen Garner don't have a lot of sympathizers, but they have formed a group to try and stop the growing trend of trying juvenile cases in adult courts and sending them to adult prisons.
It's like when you're poor, it's a different justice. You know, one law for the rich and one law for the poor.
What about the kids who have been waved over, who did not know about the street life? They made one mistake. They didn't know about the street life. They get in Ionia or Jackson, and they learn it. And then when they're back on the street, they've got a record. Nobody wants to hire them. And then they wonder why they go back to crime.
Yes, we wonder then. What are we going to do? Helen Garner makes a good point, perhaps, but it's debatable that many people out there are ready to entertain her question, not now, not until we get the guns, the knives, and violence under control. And Kathy, tomorrow we'll be talking about some specific proposals to do just that.
We'll look forward to it, Stan. And we should remind our viewers not to forget our special Eyewitness News series, Kids Killing Kids, our special report Friday night at 7:30 right here on Channel 2. Bruce?
Well, without notice, Detroit Public Schools started one of those spot searches of students coming to school today. This latest weapons search at Northern High School. In a moment, reaction from the ACLU, which is still calling this unconstitutional. First, here's Tiwa Chang with a report on the first weapons search since last September in Detroit schools.
When the students arrived at Northern High School on Woodward Avenue this morning, they were greeted by locked doors, except one set. Behind it were 2 metal detectors, half dozen school security personnel, and 4 Detroit police officers.
We walked through this metal detector, and if the sound went off, then we had to empty everything out of our pockets.
For an hour, school security, not Detroit police, searched some 600 students. School administrators say the surprise weapons sweep netted a can of mace, some roofing nails, and a pair of scissors from an art class. Did Northern High need a school sweep?
I believe that the students know that they're subject to search. That's my feeling, is that they will probably not be bringing weapons to school.
The high schoolers noted about 15 students dumped knives off before walking through the metal detectors. And one girl supposedly was caught with a knife just outside the front door.
There was a knife.
She didn't get caught going through the
school. She didn't get caught. Somebody told on her.
Still, most students welcomed the sweep.
I don't mind because I don't feel like getting shot.
Some educators here at Northern High School have expressed concerns about metal detectors and guards, saying that this isn't the right atmosphere in which to teach young people. They say discipline really needs to begin at home. Other educators note, though, they're not sure what choices they have in order to have a safe school. At Northern High School on Woodward Avenue, Tiwa Chang, Channel 2, Eyewitness News.
The question of just how legal today's search was still very much an issue tonight. From the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, Howard Simon joins me. He is Executive Director. Howard, thanks for coming with us tonight. Any problems with today's search? Do you still have a problem with what happened today?
Well, I don't think today's search is a get-off policy. Today's search still raises constitutional questions. The way in which constitutional questions are raised whenever a person is subject to a search when they're not suspected of doing anything wrong.
I don't think you heard a soundbite just a few minutes ago. They were probably, I think, wiring you up as we were talking right now. But there was a soundbite in another story where one of the people in the city said that when it comes to youth crime, the ACLU will protect the suspect before they protect the innocent victims. How do you all react to that?
Well, that's an unfortunate image we have. It's obviously not true. The things that we're doing now are not protecting suspects. They're protecting innocent people. People who have a right to be left alone, a right to be free from searches unless they're suspected of doing something wrong. I think the more significant message that was sent, a get tough message that was sent 2 nights ago by the school board when after 2 years, they finally came around to agree with us to say that they're going to permanently expel any student caught trying to bring a gun into the school. That's a much better get tough and a much more effective program than what they did today. Judge today by what we have been saying. Look at the search. It's just not very effective. All of the cars there, the police officers, the TV cameras are there. It gets highly publicized. but it has one defect. It's just not very effective.
Let's try to clean the record up in just a few seconds here, Howard. They do not have to give notice. Is that right? They can do these searches anytime they want. The judge has not made any kind of a ruling that says the school can't do that.
There's been a lot of misinformation in the community about this. We do not believe that notice is required. The judge never ordered it. It was the school board's own, and I must say, very silly idea, which they're now trying to pin on us.
Okay, very good. Howard, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll be back in touch with you as more of these searches come on and see what happens. Howard Simon from the ACLU. Kathy?
In automotive news, a disagreement in the high ranks of the United Auto Workers Union today over whether huge profits announced by Ford Motor Company will create problems in this summer's contract negotiations. Ford yesterday announced record profits of $1.5 billion. The company was still basking in the glow of that news today. The story from Eyewitness News automotive reporter George Sells.
Ford stock on Wall Street today rose another $3, an increase of nearly $10 in the last 2 days. Word today that a Toyota dealer in California now wants to sell Fords. Auto analysts singing Ford's praises with remarks like this.
Basically, the only way Ford could go wrong at this point is to build not an Edsel, but to build a series of Edsels.
But not everyone is happy. The UAW vice president in charge of negotiating with Ford this summer, Steve Yokich, says the profits are gratifying but also troubling to the union. Today, former UAW president Doug Fraser took issue with that view.
I think it's troubling when when you go to the collective bargaining table, you're in much better position from a union point of view and the company's prospering.
But is all the praise for Ford Motor Company, all the dollar signs in the eyes of stockholders and in the eyes of union people, is all the success for Ford Motor Company bringing the General Motors to its knees?
I think GM is going to be, is going to surprise an awful lot of people in the next couple of years.
David Cole, auto analyst at the University of Michigan, says GM is about to blossom with all-new truck lines like this one in Pontiac, the all-new Corsica and Beretta by Chevrolet, and an even bigger line of mid-size cars called GM10 in the fall. Still, Ford's record profits send a message to GM bosses.
And I think it's a very useful stimulation of bringing General Motors to the point where they do the things that they have to do.
But that's GM's plan for the future. Many are asking, what does it do today to get back into the race? I'm George Sells, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
Now, one thing GM is doing right away is the announcement of an ambitious new incentive program. Murray Feldman will have details on that later in this newscast.
Chrysler boss Lee Iacocca, as we reported last night, may indeed be getting back together with his wife Peggy. According to published reports today, the Iacoccas may go public with the reconciliation at a private party tonight in New York at the Club 21. Iacocca's daughter Leah confirmed that her dad and Peggy spent some time together in Florida recently. And Peggy Iacocca's local attorney, John Schaefer, says getting back together, quote, looks excellent right now.
We'll keep you posted on what happens. In other news, a suburban toddler takes police on quite a long ride today.
Also, why an East Side city is trying to look for a new name tonight.
Plus, making sure that posh ride is as smooth as can be.
If you're waiting for warmer temperatures, your wait will be short-lived.
The Pistons and Wings are feeling pretty good about themselves tonight, and Isaiah talks about a rare ejection.
It's Hyland's Midnight Madness Sale. Friday, for 12 hours only, Hyland goes crazy with fantastic savings on many items in every Hyland store. Friday only, get this 14-day programmable VHS video recorder for just $179. So come to Hyland and go absolutely nuts Friday from 12 noon till midnight at Hyland's Midnight Madness Sale. But remember, when the clock strikes 12, your time is up.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. Most of us live in our shoes, don't we? That's why we need Shoetown for quality, selection, name brands, and low prices. Now through Saturday, Shoetown soft leather mocks are sale priced at just $18.99. Wovens, classics, name brands, Indian look soft mocks just $18.99. For prices you can live with and shoes you can live in, you can count on Shoetown. And that's no fairy tale.
Shoetown, we want you to live in our shoes.
Boy, Vern, this sure is a dull game. I know it depends on strategy and all. Speaking of strategy, your old buddy Ernest, noted entrepreneur, has just made the smart financial move to high-efficiency natural gas appliances. I analyzed it, comparisized it. I'll use less gas from Mishcon, saving me money and saving fuel for all of us. That's right, Vern. Natural gas from Mishcon, the smart move. Oh, my move? Crown there.
No garden tool breaks up the earth like a burpee crumbler. Of course, in California, certain restrictions may apply. The Crumbler, part of a complete burpee garden tool system. Available at garden centers near you.
Preparations are underway right now for the visit of Pope John Paul II, even though the Pope is not scheduled to arrive here until mid-September. As Eyewitness News reporter Nancy McCauley found out, the Pope will have a very personal message for Detroiters, thanks to a ghostwriter.
Pope John Paul II brought a multitude of messages to the U.S. during his visit in 1979. Each speech was researched and written in Rome.
The Pope's visit, scheduled for Hart Plaza in September, will be 15 pages long, or about 45 minutes. The actual ideas for the speech came from the Detroit community, but the words are written about a half a mile north of here.
I am deeply moved by the faith that has brought you to this gathering.
Unless the Pope changes them, those are the words we'll hear when John Paul addresses the crowd at Hart Plaza. Father John Sims supervised the writing of the 4 papal speeches the Pope will deliver during his Detroit stop on the tour. Father Sims says violence that is so much on the minds of Detroiters will be a part of the Pope's message.
In the text that we submitted, we certainly have words to that effect in talking about the pain of violence and his own familiarity with violence as someone who himself was wounded.
The 4 speeches and 2 background papers on Detroit and Hamtramck were hand-carried to Rome a month ago by Archbishop Sciacca. There have been no changes from the Vatican as of yet, and Zims hope there won't be.
I'll be listening with bated breath to every word because I'll know the ring of the words that we were able to write, and I'll be anxious to see how many of those will actually be said by the Holy Father.
Nancy McCauley, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
And Eyewitness News will continue to update you on preparations for the Pope's visit, as well as our complete coverage of the Pontiff's stay in Metro Detroit this September.
This next story is one of those you lose even if you win kind of stories. Today, voters in Pontiac deciding whether to approve a 40 mil tax package. Now, most of that is renewal, but about 3 mils will go to help cut this year's projected nearly $4 million deficit. And even if the folks approve the increase, as many as 50 teachers will still have to be laid off because of the money problems. We will, of course, have the latest on the election for you tonight here on Channel 2 at 11. One Metro Detroit community is going through kind of an identity crisis. Some folks in the city of East Detroit want to change their city's name. Now, they played the name game once before, but without success. Sherry Margolis, though, reports this time around, they think they got it.
What's in a name, anyway? Well, for some residents of East Detroit, everything. That's why they want to make a change, a name change, to East Point.
We're searching for a name that gives us our own identity. We want a better future for the city, and we want to get rid of the Detroit image from our city.
East Detroit is a small bedroom community of about 38,000 people. In fact, it's almost a suburb of Detroit. But some people here feel that all they really share with the city is its name.
We're not a crime capital, and so we want to change the image of our city and change its identity so we'll no longer be confused with the Detroit image.
Larosky says that property values in East Detroit have risen slower than any other community in Macomb County. He blames it on that image problem associated with the city's name. And he seems to have a lot of support.
I'm very much in favor of it.
Why?
Well, because Detroit has such a bad name that I just want our city, it's a separate city.
I know there's a lot of confusion, and I think some of the people don't approve of it, but I think it'd be a great idea. I like East Point. I think that sounds good.
Well, we're too close to Detroit, and the name is kind of connecting. I think it should be changed.
Larosky says that a name change would only cost the city between $10,000 and $15,000. He's trying to get about 1,100 signatures on petitions to put the proposal on the November ballot. If it passes, East Detroit will get its name change, and residents will get the point. In East Detroit, for now, Sherry Margolis, Channel 2 Eyewitness News.
Get the point.
I get the point, yeah.
Detroit's Madonna is making music history tonight.
Also, a move by GM that they hope is going to boost business and your interest as well. These stories and more still ahead. Stay with us on Eyewitness News.
Art Band. This Friday only, it all comes together. But first, closed doors. Preparation, a hand-picked team. People on a deadline. Drastic price cuts for an extraordinary sales event. This is the big one. When the clock strikes 6, we're ready. The 360-minute sale begins. Only 360 minutes to save big on every item, 6 p.m. to midnight, Friday only. But don't wait a minute, because every minute counts.
Curtains up on Beckwith Evans' mid-season floor fashion show. See all the newest introductions. Save on over 100 carpets and vinyls. Find special savings on Anso 4 nylon, like this lovely new plush in 11 beautiful colors. Enjoy the long wear and easy care of Anso 4 nylon. Only $10.80 a yard installed. Save 43%. Anso 4, 15 to 50% off. The mid-season floor fashion show through May 4th. Completely installed prices every day. At Beckwith Evans, buying carpet has never been easier.
Dodge Caravan. There's nothing quite like it on America's open road. Front-wheel drive, power steering, and power brakes are standard on Caravan, of course. Plus, there's plenty of room for people and cargo. And plenty of power, thanks to its newly available V6. The 87 Caravan. The only vehicle of its kind to be backed by a 770 protection plan. And you can still save up to $500 on special equipment discount packages. Caravan. In stock and ready for immediate delivery at your Dodge dealer today.
See one of the Greater Detroit Dodge boys today.
Look, you worked hard for your house. It's your home. So before you do anything about a home equity loan, you better get all the facts.
At NBD, we've put together a home equity information kit. It's free, it's written in plain English, and it takes you through the whole process step by step so you can make the right decision. Call NBD. After all, it's your home we're talking about. Call us.
Well, I guess if you've been waiting to buy a car from General Motors, now is the time.
It's not too late. Murray Feldman with the Channel 2 Business Report tonight.
Actually, it begins tomorrow. The incentives begin at GM tomorrow. But good. Dealers open tonight. Go and pick out a car and wait till tomorrow, I guess. Auto insiders say GM is really torn between the profit dollar and incentives. Today, they obviously feel they can make more money by selling more cars, even if it has to be with incentives. So here's the story. Buick, Oldsmobile, Pontiac, and Chevrolet are offering cash rebates of up to $1,200, even on top-of-the-line big cars. Buyers may choose low interest rates instead of the cash. The rates go from 3.9% to 9.9% on a 60-month payment plan. Each GM division differs slightly in its incentives. Auto analyst Arvid Jopi says 3 things are coming into play. First, GM's market share is eroded. Dealer inventory is still very, very high. And Mr. Jopi says GM must begin preparing dealers, that's right, to buy 1988 model cars, even though some of them still have 86s left over. American Motors announced it's going back to its zero interest rate plan on some of its models. Apparently, interest rate fever is running high today in Detroit. A formal White House welcome this morning for Prime Minister Nakasone of Japan. Nakasone admits he's deeply concerned about trade friction between his country and ours. He's pledging to talk things over with the president in the spirit of cooperation.
I will listen carefully to the views of the administration, the Congress, and the people of the United States.
Now, labor leaders around the country are urging the president to hang tough in his talks with the prime minister. United Steelworkers President Harry Lester recalls that in 1985, the Japanese imported more than 2 million cars to the United States, but the U.S. sent fewer than 1,000 cars of its own to Japan. Today, Harry Lester says, quote, "It's about time the Japanese and other countries realize we're fed up with it. We want our jobs back." Congress sent that message out as well today. The House passed that full tougher-than-tough trade bill they've been debating. It now goes on to the Senate. A Southfield company is moving into the Korean automobile industry. Bendix Electronics is forming a joint venture with a Korean-based company. They'll produce electronic systems for cars that are built in Korea. And Detroit-based Unisys, which just this week struck up a deal with the Hong Kong Bank for a $50 million computer system, today announced a 3-for-1 stock split. The announcement came at today's shareholders meeting. Unisys CEO W. Michael Blumenthal says even though he's building a house on the East Coast, don't be alarmed, Unisys will indeed stay in the Motor City.
Originally, that somewhere in the neighborhood of 175 to 200 people would be moving one way, and something like 75 or so people would be moving the other way, and that's pretty much what has happened.
So what's in the future? Unisys says look for new and upgraded computers in 1988. A vacant piece of Dearborn on the southwest corner of Hubbard Drive and the Southfield Freeway will soon house a large hotel, office, and residential project. Ford Land Development and the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company say the new Fairlane Plaza should be completed in the fall of '88. Ford Land tells me the Dearborn Ritz-Carlton will be the most exclusive hotel in all of Metro Detroit. Stock market did pretty well today. You might say it's on a bit of a roll. The Dow finished up again 32 points, volume 183 million shares.
Ritz-Carlton, huh?
Yeah.
Ritz-Carlton,
big bucks.
Dearborn.
That's all right.
Nice chain of hotels.
Okay.
Thanks. We'll see you at 11, Murray. You know, this is one of the busiest times of the year for the limousine business. More and more of you are renting them to ride in style to the prom, graduation, or perhaps you're celebrating an anniversary, or it's for your wedding day. Well, our troubleshooter, Dan Williams, explains what you should know about renting a limo that will help you avoid some nasty bumps along the way.
Limousines are no longer exclusive to the rich and famous. For an average $45 an hour, 3 hours minimum, any peasant can ride like royalty. Standard in most of today's limousines are a television set, a stereo system, a wet bar, VCR, certainly all the comforts of home, maybe even more. But you should remember when you're renting a limousine, you're paying for luxury and you're paying for a service. Mike Banks frequently rents limos for his business clients. He remembers the worst ride of his life.
The limo had been rented the night before, and it had the very strong smell of alcohol throughout the car, and it was a little bad experience. I really didn't care for it, and the courtesy of the driver just wasn't there. The man was just over-taxied and worked.
And Keith and Megan Benning remember when their limo service canceled their car without warning because the Detroit Grand Prix happened to be that same weekend. We got their money back, and the Bennings celebrated their 10th anniversary thanks to another limo service we contacted.
There are too many companies out there that are canceling runs. I know about it, and I've been in contact with consumers who have called the association complaining that they do have that type of a problem.
Ken Matei and other Michigan Limousine Operators Association members are trying to clean up their industry. Matei says ask how long a company has been in business. What references do they have? Who have they driven for? The more cars usually signifies a good business. Have them prove they carry insurance, and make sure your contract spells out exactly what you want. Now, state law prohibits alcoholic beverages in any moving vehicle. However,
the police so far are not making a stink about it, just so long as the people inside the vehicle are remaining inside the vehicle and not having their bodies outside a sunroof or outside of a window or causing a disturbance.
The driver must have a state chauffeur's license, be at least age 25, well-dressed, and know how to get around Metro Detroit. Once you know all that, renting and riding in a limo should be no fuss, and you can leave the driving to them. I'm Dan Williams, your Channel 2 troubleshooter.
Dan also says the good limo service will not stock liquor in cars rented for minors. And limo operators ask that parents of prom night kids not supply any alcohol either.
Well, coming up, a big show of support for Right to Life organization today.
That's just one of the stories coming up in the next half hour of Eyewitness News. Here's a look at some of the others.
The disease is generally underappreciated by physicians, and I don't think it's appreciated at all by the public.
Medical news tonight about a new contraceptive that could cut down on sexually transmitted diseases.
They came back with everything they had. It was, wow, what a physical game.
The Pistons are wondering who their next victims will be. Fred McLeod has details.
And tonight, Ronald Evans plays the waiting game in Cincinnati. These stories and more still ahead on Eyewitness News.
Taking time to mow doesn't take a lot of time with the Cub Cadet Rider.
Charlie!
I know. Cub Cadet's extra wide cutting deck saves time with fewer passes.
Charlie, it's time!
Oh, no! But when you really need to save time, Cub Cadet bags up to 6 bushels of grass.
Charlie, did you get the bag?
Yeah. Did I get the bag? Cub Cadet. One tough rider.
At the Cub Cadet dealer nearest you.
Mention Meijer and what do you think of? Well, I think of one-stop shopping, lots of services, and of course, low prices.
This week, get Act 1 microwave popcorn for just $1.97 a box of 6. Pop a bowl full of fun anytime. And save on Quaker Kibbles and Bits dog food, only $2.28 a bag. Treat your pet to the taste of kibbles and bits.
But most of all, I think of Meijer as a place I'm proud to work.
Check us out.
If you think you're never going to lose any teeth just because you're not getting cavities, you're dangerously wrong. Over 1/4 of Americans have lost all their teeth by age 60. Not to cavities, mostly to gum disease. Gum disease strikes 3 out of 4 over age 35. 3 out of 4. What can you do about gum disease? See your American Dental Association dentist. Don't wait till it hurts.
Ronnie DeSiller's mother says that her little boy died like a champion last night. He was just 7 years old and had his 3rd liver transplant just a week ago. Ronnie was the boy that President Reagan sent $1,000 to help pay his medical bills. Reagan sent the check after $4,000 raised by Ronnie's classmates in Florida had been stolen. Doctors say that DeSillers took a turn for the worse on Sunday and had suffered 7 heart attacks shortly before he died.
An anti-abortion group turned in nearly 460,000 petition signatures today in the hope of banning state-funded abortions. Now, that's more than twice the number needed to force lawmakers to vote on this issue and to keep the governor from vetoing their decision. And if the legislature doesn't approve the plan, we will be voting on it in 1988.
I don't know that you can find a complaint with today's weather.
Oh, very pleasant.
Yeah, a little on the cool side, you know, below
Maybe,
normal
yeah.
for this time of the year, but that's not a complaint, really.
Well,
It was
really.
dry, lots of sunshine, pretty blue sky. We're headed for a little bit of a change in the weather tomorrow. We'll talk about that and dedicate the whole weather show to Brownie Troop 1099 from Trenton, Michigan, after these.
Take the ride of your life at your Greater Detroit Olds dealers.
There's only a few days left to take advantage of 3.9 APR GMAC financing.
Or, depending on the options you buy, get up to $1,200 cash back.
Take the cash or use it toward your down payment.
Get the ride now.
When the sun sets on April 30th, it's all over.
Only at your 18 Greater Detroit Olds dealers.
In Hamtramck, Central Olds,
Mount Clemens, Bill Lee Olds.
Detroit Olson Olds,
And Lake Point Olds, First Point Park.
It's Hyland's Midnight Madness Sale. Friday, for 12 hours only, Hyland goes crazy with fantastic savings on many items in every Hyland store. Like this GE 19-inch color TV with automatic color control for just $177. So come to Hyland and go absolutely nuts Friday from 12 noon till midnight at Hyland's Midnight Madness Sale. But remember, when the clock strikes 12, your time is up.
These days, Amtrak and the airlines have something in common. New low fares. Amtrak special All-Aboard America fares take you to more than 500 destinations for as little as $59 to $99 each way. Of course, there is a difference. Amtrak fares don't have all the restrictions of airline fares. And when you're traveling across the country on Amtrak, you see the country you're traveling across.
Next on Superior Court.
Pepper got mad. Pulled out an electric dart gun and shot me with it.
A divorce attorney is arrested for assault
Did you lay hands on Mr. Pepper when he came to your restaurant?
and is claiming self-defense.
I pulled out the taser, and I warned him not to come any closer. I didn't do nothing to intimidate that fat creep.
Self-defense or assault with a deadly weapon. The issues are real. The decision's final. Superior Court.
Real facts tell the story, 7:30 Thursday.
You ever see one of those tall ledges that you can walk on and take a look down below? This is a pretty scene of downtown, huh? The church, the Ford dealership, all kind of mixed in together there. Outside this hour, look at the water, nice and blue, huh? 58 at Metro's sunny skies. City is 58, Southfield 56. Winds are northwest at 12. Pressure is steady. Relative humidity at 28%. High temperature today, 59, the low 36, normally 64 and 42. And you see the all-time records there. They are now on the high side, up in the mid to upper 80s for this time of the year. Again, those are only the records. That doesn't mean we're going to see that necessarily. Satellite picture shows you a lot of fair sky across the state. Little bit of cloud cover down here, but for the most part, a day filled with sunshine and blue sky. But uh-oh, dum-dum-dum-dum-dum. There's something coming on the backside of a high-pressure system, and I think we're going to see more clouds tomorrow. and probably the risk for some widely scattered showers. Could even be a thunder shower later on tomorrow night. This massive cloudiness is typically going to follow the upper level winds, and that would be just about this contour, which means this stuff will be coming our way. Now, I think tomorrow we'll still have some sunshine. High pressure again dominates the weather. This is a cool and dry air mass that has invaded, giving us a rather cool day and will give us a chilly night. I suspect upper 30s for the overnight low. But again, this massive cloud cover is the only thing able to invade. It's a little blob of moisture that's going to scoot this way. A lot more moisture back out to the west. Eventually, sometime, who knows when right now, it'll get here, but we don't have to worry about it right now. Cool breezes for us. The real warm stuff confined south of this front from South Carolina wrapping around to Wyoming. Just a few handful of record-breaking or tying high temperatures today, and a lot of moisture back on off to the west. Temperatures now showing you the 90s down here across the Carolinas and parts of Georgia, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Back out farther to the west, you can see mild temperatures again, but we've got the coolish stuff with us. So here's your forecast, beginning with tonight. Looks like this now. Fair skies, cool and dry air, the overnight low 38 to 40 degrees. And then for the daytime tomorrow, becoming partly sunny and mild, high temperatures 62 to 65. For tomorrow nighttime, cloudy and cool with widely scattered showers, 43 to 46 the low. 4 days ahead, you've been waiting for a warm-up, and here it comes. Saturday 58, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Oh, yeah, man, we're going back above normal.
Oh,
that's okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
Short sleeve weather.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, check C11.
Okay.
Now, this next story could easily have ended tragically, but a little 2-year-old girl eluded police for 5 hours while riding around on her Cabbage Patch hot cycle. Now, she pedaled about 2 miles from her home on the east side of Pontiac before finally stopping into Silverdome and crying out for help. A resident heard the screams and she called police. Now, they say that she had to cross busy University Drive just to get to the dome and could have easily been hit. No one knows where that little girl was trying to go, except that she just seemed to be out for a cruise and got lost.
She probably wasn't worried. It was everybody else, huh?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
What's going on tonight here? The Pistons are happy as ducks, huh?
Just a Stanley Cup and NBA playoffs.
Oh, just a few things,
Yeah,
huh?
just a routine stroll through the afternoon.
Yeah, well, you should have no problem with that.
I hope. I'll tell you over the next couple of minutes. We'll be talking about the Pistons, hear from the Pistons on their victory last night in Washington. Plus, the Wings are still hanging on. Stay with us.
No matter where your dreams take you, AAA Michigan will get you there with our full-service travel agency.
You can't do better than all A's.
Ask four-time Indy winner and successful businessman A.J. Foyt about performance. For over 15 years, A.J.'s relied on Boland's because our commitment to performance shows in every mower, rider, and tractor we build. When you're serious about performance, insist on Boland's. Suburban tractors start at just $14.99 for quality and performance. See your local Boland's dealer.
Your basic soft wheat bread has about a smidgen of whole wheat. But new Wonder Soft 100% whole wheat bread has a whole passel. And that's a difference we can all sink our teeth into.
Wonder Wheat.
Just a little slice of America.
Wonder Bread.
Just a part of life in America.
Wonder Bread. Wonder Bread. Kroger Range is a tiger thing. You make great shopping. You have everything. Kroger Range.
Cut your cost on chicken of the sea, tuna, in oil or water, 3 for $2. Assorted varieties of Kroger vegetables, 3 for $1. And Heinz strained baby food, assorted varieties, 5 for $1.
Kroger, I think I love you.
President Cloud in sports, I think we're all still elated over the fact that the Pistons made such quick work of the Bulls, and Moses didn't care, did he?
Yeah. No, he probably tore up the locker room when everybody kind of walked up. Moses cares a lot, unfortunately. As he had said after Game 2, he wondered how many of his teammates cared as much as he did. If they all did, then I'm sure the Pistons would still be playing the Washington Bullets in the playoffs right now. Of all the first-round upset possibilities, though, the Pistons were considered the most likely to fall among most NBA observers, mainly because of the presence of Mr. Malone. Well, tonight, only the Pistons and Celtics and Lakers are relaxing after 3-game sweeps. The Pistons had to rebound from losing a 7-point fourth-quarter lead and falling behind by 7. Vinnie Johnson was one of the heroes with 8 straight Detroit points during crunch time. Then, with the game tied and the final seconds ticking away, Rick Mahorn was fouled, but at the lower left corner, Isaiah Thomas and Frank Johnson were tangling up, both slapping at each other, causing the ejection of both. Isaiah told John Fawson what happened.
Frank was holding me all over the court. It's like we were doing a tango in the waltz, you know, and so we tangoed over to the sideline, and the referee blew the whistle, so I threw him off me, and I walked away, and as I walked away, he came up from behind me and hit me in the back of the head. I didn't get a chance to retaliate. He hit me so fast, I just kept walking.
They were just dancing. Mahorn missed the first free throw, but then hit the second, giving the Pistons a 1-point lead.
Figured just make one of them and it'd be, you know, no overtime, and they had to put the pressure on them.
You just try to block out everything at that point and look at the rim, or what do you do?
I just wanted to get it in there, and that's what it got in there the second time.
The Bullets still had 4 seconds to get off a good shot from half court, but John Williams tried this weak lob pass, which Dennis Rodman tipped and somehow saved to end it. An amazing play by the rookie.
I'm gonna tip the ball. So I'm gonna do something to get in the play, and it so happened that the ball wasn't really thrown sharply, and it gave me enough time to go over there, tip it, and then throw it back in. So it was a great win for us tonight.
Well, if Atlanta beats Indiana tomorrow night, the Pistons and Hawks will open their series Sunday afternoon here on Channel 2. Last night, that guy Chuck Person had 23 points. This fellow Wayman Tisdale had 10, as the Hawks were beaten by Indiana 96-87. Well, the Red Wings are back in Toronto, saying 1 down and 2 to go of the 3 they needed to steal the series from the Maple Leafs, and they certainly can do it, especially if Glenn Hyland continues to stone the Leafs as he has the last 2 games. Last night, stopping all 30 shots fired his way. Has Hyland ever played 2 games better back-to-back?
I was 14 years old. I really did. Bantam? Yeah, Major Bantam, and that's about the last. And, you know, I was waiting for it to happen again, and, you know.
Lee Norwood, Adam Oates here, and Brent Ashton backed up Hanlon with the goals as the Wings cut that Toronto lead to 3-2. Certainly a gallant effort by everybody wearing the winged wheel.
A great feeling. Still got to win 2. We obviously played very, very well. Glenn Hanlon was superb. Our defense was just phenomenal. Then the forward came back and helped out, and when we take a lead, we're a very difficult team to beat.
The whole team came up with a good effort tonight, and you know, we came up short on a couple big games this year, but that's all behind us, and now tonight was the biggest game, and next game in Toronto will be the biggest.
And Dave Llewellyn, by the way, will be in Toronto. We'll have reports for us tomorrow night at 6 and 11. Well, you know, at age 22, New York Mets Dwight Gooden still has a bright future in baseball if he can get his act together off the field. Today, Gooden made his first public statement since being released from a drug rehab center.
I'd like to thank all the supporters and all the fans that was behind me. I signed the letters in, and I have them, and it was very touching. And I knew I made a mistake, and I regret it a lot, but I must turn the page once again because life goes on, and I want to put all this behind me so I can get back to doing things I like, and that's playing baseball and having fun once again. But I threw on the side today, ran a little bit, and I felt great, and things will be better. Thank you.
Gooden reportedly will work out with a Mets farm club before returning to New York. Meanwhile, Commissioner Peter Ueberroth warned that a drug relapse by Gooden will result in his suspension. Well, if all 17 horses entered in the Kentucky Derby Saturday answer the bell, the Derby will be worth a record $793,000, with $618 grand going to the winner. Demons Be Gone is the favorite, drawing the 10th post position today. It won't be long before we're talking about $1 million Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, boy. Hey, how long do the Pistons have to wait before they play now?
Probably Saturday, but then if Atlanta loses, which would force a 5th game, then we'd be talking probably Wednesday of next week. Okay. But the first 2 are in Atlanta.
So a few days at least.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Fred.
Okay.
Thanks.
You know, we hear so much about AIDS, but public health officials say another sexually transmitted disease is really reaching epidemic proportions, although most people know very little about it. Chlamydia is very common, and in tonight's Lifeline segment, Kay Lowry reports that the contraceptive sponge appears to be offering some protection against it.
In large urban areas like Detroit, odds are 1 in 8 women will be exposed to the sexually transmitted disease chlamydia. Often there are no symptoms, so it is likely that she won't even know that she has it. Chlamydia is an infection that causes infertility and in the worst case could lead to death. Yet chlamydia receives very little attention from the public or even doctors.
I think chlamydia as a disease is generally underappreciated by physicians, and I don't think it's appreciated at all by the public.
Dr. Michael Rosenberg says the contraceptive sponge may protect against chlamydia. Based on his study, he says women who are not interested in using the sponge to prevent pregnancy may want to use it as a protection against some sexually transmitted diseases.
So if you have a woman who, for example, maybe is taking oral contraceptives but is particularly concerned about sexually transmitted diseases, it may make sense to use both.
But the study also showed women who use the sponge are more than twice as likely to develop yeast infections. Yeast infections can be irritating, but as Dr. Rosenberg points out, not nearly as serious as chlamydia. In Southfield, Kay Lowry, Channel 2, Eyewitness News.
Interestingly enough, too, besides chlamydia, the study showed that the sponge is also apparently effective in protecting against gonorrhea.
Still to come, a singer from Bay City has joined an elite group of musicians.
And the waiting has begun now for Ronald Evans in Cincinnati. Stay with us.
A videotape that guarantees original brilliance and sharpness, even after 500 plays. This is the tape that does it, BASF. Because every time you play it, or play it again, or record over it, play after play after play, the original brilliance and sharpness always comes through. So if you're looking for the videotape that just keeps coming back for more, ask for BASF. Because play after play after play, the original brilliance always comes through.
What do you know about cranberries?
I know I like Ocean Spray.
What do you know about cran apples?
Apple juice was never like this.
Good for you, tastes so good too. Cran apple.
The unique cranberry has essential things your body needs. So does Cran Apple, the good-for-you cranberry apple drink.
Better tasted, fresh fruit flavor. Ocean Spray.
What do you know?
Cranberry drinks.
It's good for you, America, from Ocean Spray.
Hemorrhoids are a common medical problem. 1 out of 5 men and women is affected. If you suffer from hemorrhoids, let the Michigan Laser Center bring to you the latest in laser surgery technology. Less pain, less medication. In most cases, no hospital stay, and healing time is faster. If you suffer from the discomforts of hemorrhoids, call the Michigan Laser Center at 464-8000 for your free initial consultation. It just might change your life.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
Order Italian food with real cheese. Order Mexican food with real cheese.
Cheese, glorious cheese.
Order sandwiches with real cheese. Whatever you order in your favorite restaurant, real cheese makes it better.
It's cheese, marvelous cheese, fabulous cheese, glorious cheese.
A jury has the Ronald Evans case tonight. Closing arguments heard today in the Ronald Evans civil rights trial in Cincinnati. Evans is accused of beating Vincent Chin to death with a baseball bat in 1982 because of his race. It is that question, though, of racial motivation the jury will have to decide. But those involved in the case say that some parts of it may be too hard for the jury to understand.
I just feel quite nervous and anxious about it. I mean, you never know how the jury's going to feel. I was watching the jury closely, and Cincinnati's a different town. These aren't people who knew what Detroit was like in 1982.
The jury recessed its deliberations today without a verdict. They will start again tomorrow morning, and we will have their decision for you from Cincinnati just as soon as it comes down.
Detroit's national reputation for crime is a problem that goes without saying, but now at least one researcher says it could be a lot worse. It could be as bad as Miami's crime problem. A Tulane University sociologist says Miami tops the list for murders and robberies. The professor used FBI statistics for the study. Detroit came in number 2. The least crime-ridden cities are Philadelphia, Indianapolis, and Dallas. In his perspective tonight, Joe Weaver says that he likes the suggestions of the Supreme Court task force on fighting youth crime in Detroit, but he wonders why it has taken so long.
I'm glad we finally got the attention of all those politicians in Lansing. Detroit has been trying to shake its image of the murder capital since 1974, when 714 people were homicide victims in the city. The rate declined substantially after that, but guns and youth crime have been plaguing Detroit at an alarming rate for the last 5 years. In 1984, 192 Detroiters under 17 were shot and 16 died. A year later, 203 were shot and 23 died. I wonder what has taken so long for somebody up there in Lansing to get the message that something was wrong down here in Detroit. The juvenile courts were letting kids virtually get away with murder by slapping them limply on the wrists. Didn't take long for that message to get into the streets, where carrying a gun was not only macho, but necessary for protection. Now youth crime is a hot political issue in our state capital. All I can say is it's about time. The Supreme Court Task Force took a whole year to complete its study, and in the meantime, a lot of innocent lives have been lost. Oh, I'm not knocking their recommendations. On paper, they look like positive steps which should be implemented by the state legislature. I just hope our enlightened lawmakers don't take as much time as the task force did in putting those recommendations to work. I'm Joe Weaver, and that's my perspective.
Coming up, how it can be that the Beatles, Madonna, and Elvis Presley are now all in the same league. Details are next. Stay with us.
If you're thinking about buying a new lawnmower, consider how quickly most of them are sold off, how fast they're wheeled off, and how soon they're hauled off. If that's a turnoff, then turn to Lawn Boy. Built to run year after year after year, because mowers that don't run as long are for the birds.
Available at Nelson Froland Lawn and Garden and M&D Mower Sales and Service.
It only happens when the sky turns black and the moon gets full. It's the Fredder Full Moon Sale this Friday only, 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. Prices are almost insane.
Now, save on a Gold Star VHS video player, just $147. Get this super value 13-inch color TV with remote, only $147.
Hurry to the Fredder Full Moon Sale this Friday only. To miss it would be sheer lunacy.
Fredder is better, and it all starts with low prices.
Put that on your credit card? Sure.
The pain of credit card interest. The more it mounts up,
Charge it, please.
the more you get beat up. But one credit card offers 0.0% interest. Marathon. Make timely payments and on repairs and large purchases, except fuel, take up to 6 months to pay with no interest. Apply for Marathon's no-fee credit card, because 0.0% is painless. Marathon, official fuel supplier to the Pan Am Games.
Come on into our Sunday bar. Ponderosa. It's the greatest Sunday you ever saw. Ponderosa.
There are so many ways to make a Sunday at Ponderosa. You can have a different one every day of the week.
Fruit and chocolate and sprinkles too. 10 toppings for a Sunday that's just for you. There's a family feeling at Ponderosa.
Now a complete T-bone dinner with soup and salad buffet, just $4.99.
Weather-wise, we have it a lot better than the people in Maine tonight.
Yeah, the East Coast got hit with a lot of snow, over a foot of snow in a lot of places in Massachusetts, but a lot of that has melted today, so they're in improving shape. Take a look at U.S. radar, a compilation of all the radar sites in the country. Notice that the precip has exited the country for the most part in the northeast. Still a few showers left in Massachusetts, then more showers lined up across the mid-south. And notice the little batch around Wisconsin, Minnesota, North Dakota. That might give us some trouble tomorrow night. Outside this hour, we've got clear skies, sunshine, 58 degrees at Metro, the same city way, Southfield 56, and quite a different picture with the wind as compared to yesterday at this time. Tonight's forecast then just calls for fair skies, cool and dry air, a good night for landscaping, 38 to 40. The overnight low with the winds light and variable as we continue through the night. So kind of a chilly one.
Okay, we'll see you at 11. Thanks,
okay. Chuck, thanks. You know, when it comes to recording hit songs, few people have been as successful as Madonna, and now she... That's something.
Well, we're always updating the news. I guess we better go back and update the music scene and
figure out what we missed,
huh?
That is our news tonight. Thanks for being with us, folks.
Stay tuned for the CBS Evening News. We'll see you at 11.
Oh, a special thanks also I want to make to the group in Dearborn Heights, Fairlane Lions. We spoke to them today. We had a great time down there, the kids at the school down there. Thank you very much. We'll see you at 11.
Good night.
Save up to 78% during MC's State Fairground Sale. Thursday through Sunday, save on shoes, clothing, and more. MC Sporting Goods Fairground Sale. Woodward at 8 Mile.
Lear, America's #1 truck cap. On the job. Working hard. Around the town. Or for just plain fun, Lear's got the cap to cover it. There's a truck cap for every occasion and a cap for every truck.
Cover your gear with a pickup truck cover from Lear.
The king of caps.
You can receive a free bed mat with the purchase of a Lear fiberglass truck cover at these participating Lear dealers.
Boy, these kids really pack it in.
Well, they do have the energy to burn it off.
Celebrate the savings this week at Meijer. Get Del Monte ketchup, just 88 cents a bottle. That great Del Monte taste adds to almost any meal.
Mrs. Michaels, can I please have some more punch?
Of course, Billy. Hold up your glass.
And save on Hawaiian Red Punch, just 89 cents a bottle. Cool, refreshing, and just plain fun. Big savings this week and every week at Meijer. It's like a wish come true.